The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Let me be your lighthouse so I can show you the way. Let me be your shining light, I'll keep you from drifting away. I'm the one that makes you try when...
Hello, this is Patty Hunter of Patty's Page. Today I'm doing a phone-in interview with the Honourable David Onley, who was the former Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. We'll be with you in a moment. Thank you. Hello there.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. Your Honor, we have introduced you as the Honourable David Onley, former Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. Is that all right?
That's correct, yes.
So my husband Bob and I knew you. We met you many moons ago at the People's Church.
Right.
And we met Ruth Ann. I said, you're a very lovely couple, and you still are, you know.
Oh, well, thank you very kindly.
I have several questions. Welcome to my humble home and to my TV show. Where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Midland, Ontario, which is about 2 hours north of Toronto, just off Georgian Bay, for those who are familiar with cottage country, as we call it here in Ontario. So I was born in small town Ontario, and then moved to Toronto in the late 50s as a result of contracting polio when I was 3. And was in and out of hospitals in Toronto pretty much through to the mid-50s, actually, which then prompted my parents to move to Toronto, where my wife and I, well, first with my family, and then my wife and I have lived ever since.
Do you like Toronto? We haven't been there for 21 years now, eh?
Yeah, that's correct. I've been living here in Toronto since the late 50s. 1957 to be exact.
Oh my goodness. You're not much older than I am, you know. 2 years
Well, there you
older.
go.
So, when you were growing up, who influenced you the most?
Well, I would say my parents and my grandparents. They're both enormously supportive of not only me, but my 2 younger brothers and 2 younger sisters.
Wow.
And, we were raised in a God-fearing family, and, our parents took us to church as opposed to sending us. And, we were raised in the Baptist church, and so, it was a very stable, thankfully, a very stable situation. And I remember as I got older in grade school and would be talking with friends about how they had spent their Christmas holidays or Easter holidays, and realized that many of them came from broken families, and it was something that was hard for me as a kid to process, because I just thought everybody got together with their grandparents and aunts and uncles for holidays and things like that. So I was very blessed in that way to be raised in that kind of a family.
That is good. When you were in university, which university was this?
I attended the University of Toronto at the Scarborough campus, which is in the east end of Toronto. There are 3 campuses for the University of Toronto, the downtown one, which is the main one, and then one in the west end in Mississauga, which is just west of Toronto, and the other campus is in Scarborough, where we now live, which is the easternmost community that is part of Toronto.
What was your major?
Political science.
Wow.
Just really wasn't political science.
So when you graduated,
I graduated in 1975
wow,
and went on to do 1 year of law school at the University of Windsor, just across from the Detroit border, the Michigan border, I should say. And but realized very quickly that that was not a profession that I wanted to pursue. And so I came back and got involved in the television industry and worked in that profession as a reporter at a local Toronto TV station, City TV.
oh yeah,
And
Doing what?
continued there for almost 23 years
wow,
before being appointed Lieutenant Governor in 2007. So there was a little gap at times between graduating from or finishing my year at law school before starting television. I was involved in writing and research and things like that, but my main profession has been in the television industry.
you wrote books.
And I wrote a book, yes indeed, that was in between, and it really was the part that really got me into television, because I wrote a book on the U.S. space program just at the time that the shuttle program was starting, and that's what propelled me into the television industry as an expert in space travel.
Wow, is it still being sold, or
Pardon me?
is that book still being sold?
It's actually available online as a talking book. That is, like as
Audio.
a CD, or you can download it. It's on Amazon. It's just simply entitled Shuttle.
Shuttle.
And my full name, David Onley. And so it's now been 80. It's now, well, the book came out in 1981. So 82, and that time frame, and so it's been out for a long, long time. And in fact, I just finished getting a royalty statement a couple of weeks ago for $21. It's,
That's a lot of money.
It stopped making me money, but I'm always grateful about it, because it's what led directly to my position in television.
So while you're working at television, you also worked in radio?
I was in and out of radio all the time, yes. In fact, actually, just prior to being on television, I did weekly reports on science, space, and technology. So I've always been on the periphery, and even during my years at City TV, which owned and operated a local radio station, I did reports for them as well on occasion.
Hey. You were promoted to be news anchorman at where?
We created, the station created an all-news channel just for the Toronto area, and I had the great opportunity of doing that for 8 years, in the final 8 years of my career.
And when did you become Lieutenant Governor of Ontario?
2007, and I served there for 7 years and left office in 2014, and immediately began teaching political science at the University of Toronto at Scarborough, at my old school.
Oh yeah.
And I continue to do that. And in addition, I continue to do advisory work for the province of Ontario in terms of matters of disability and accessibility issues.
The disability, you're talking about the physical or mental or both?
The whole range, all disabilities.
And as Lieutenant Governor, what were your duties?
So the duty of the Lieutenant Governor in the province of Ontario and any other province in Canada is very different from the Lieutenant Governor in the United States, who in effect are the vice governors for each and every state, and therefore are elected to that position. The Lieutenant Governor in position in Canada, specifically one for each of our 10 provinces, is not an elected position. You're appointed by the federal prime minister, so I was appointed by
Oh, yeah.
until the Lieutenant Governor signs it.
Mm.
Now, in 99.99% of the cases, the Lieutenant Governor does sign it. But if the Lieutenant Governor finds that there's something that's fundamentally wrong or illegal or unconstitutional about the act, you can decline to sign the document.
Veto it.
That then triggers a political crisis
Oh, yeah.
where the issue then has to be debated in public. So the position is very much one of a safeguard and a protection of the civil rights of individuals. It virtually guarantees that no law, piece of legislation could be passed into law that would completely negatively affect the society, like take away some fundamental right, and that sort of thing. So that is essentially the role of the Lieutenant Governor.
Oh, wow. That was heavy duty, eh?
Yes, it was. Yeah, it's a very serious responsibility. I never had to decline to sign a piece of legislation, and I'm grateful for that. But there was always that possibility.
Oh, you had met the Queen many times during your 7 years?
Not really. I wouldn't say many times. Typically, once you're appointed, you fly over to Great Britain and meet the Queen. And my wife and I had that great pleasure in October of 2008. And then she traveled here to Canada in 2010 and visited my offices at the Lieutenant Governor's offices in Toronto, and attended some dinners and events with her. And so I felt very, very fortunate to be able to have that happen, because the Lieutenant Governor doesn't get to choose to see the Queen. Many of my predecessors only met her once, and that would be on the official first visit. But because she decided to come to Canada, then I had that opportunity.
I understand she's a very sweet and lovely lady.
Very much, yes.
How old is she this year? 90...
I think,
How old is she this year? 90-something?
yeah, doing well as far as I know, doing better, so.
Oh, my goodness. Who else did you converse with while you were being the Lieutenant Governor, the other dignitaries, what they were like?
Oh, yeah. Well, it was certainly a great opportunity to meet many people. I had the great privilege of meeting Bill Clinton on 2 occasions, and George Bush, George W. Bush, this after they obviously left office, and some former Canadian prime ministers and former British prime ministers, and the Emperor and Empress of Japan,
Oh,
and various other dignitaries, and many, many ambassadors to the country. And so it was all very, very interesting and fascinating people.
Your Royal Highnesses, Chief Brian Laforne, as Her Majesty's representative in Ontario, and on behalf of the people of this province, it is an honor and privilege to welcome you here today as we gather to celebrate the Queen's Diamond Jubilee.
what is your favorite time with the dignitaries or the Queen herself, Her Majesty? Do you have stories?
Definitely meeting the Queen for the first time was an enormous privilege, and she is just as friendly and as engaging as people see her to be. And it was certainly a memorable moment for my wife and myself. We really just it was one of those pinch me moments, as they say. You really couldn't quite believe that. Here's the lady you see on TV and read about in the newspapers, and but now you're shaking hands with her, and now sitting down, and now she's asking you questions. And the other thing that happened, which always stuck in my mind so clearly, was that the morning that we met with the Queen was the morning after the Canadian Federation in this election, and it was a real surprise that they were beaten that badly. The thing was that typically the Queen would have been briefed on that, but for whatever reason, she wasn't. And so when we were meeting with her, she said, remember, this is the morning after the election, she said, now I understand that you have an election coming up in Canada. And I suddenly realized that she had not been briefed, and I had the great opportunity of briefing the Queen on the Canadian election. So that was something I will never forget.
You are blessed indeed.
Oh, very much. So there we are.
So after 2014, you said you went in to be a professor at University of Toronto, right?
That's correct.
Did you go into acting at all?
Pardon me?
Did you go into acting?
Well, when I was Lieutenant Governor, I had a role in a TV series, detective series here in Canada called The Murdoch Mysteries, and it's set in the 1890s in Toronto, and the building that I worked out of, the Legislative Assembly building, was built in the 1890s.
Wow.
So I was able to arrange it that the episode was actually shot in the building. And nothing much has changed since the 1890s. The building still looks the same from the outside. Obviously differences, including parking spots and wheelchair symbols and things like that. But once you're inside the building, it looks identical, just very, very much to what it would have looked like in the 1890s. And it would have cost this TV show millions of dollars to recreate the set. And so I had a very small role. It's a murder mystery. And so just about every week, the program starts with somebody dying.
Uh-huh.
And my role in the murder mystery was to play the role of the Lieutenant Governor of the day.
Oh, wow.
And I identified the body, and I had 2 lines, and that was it. But I'm a big fan of the show, and I've gotten to know the chief writer of it and a number of the actors, and so it's something I enjoyed doing very much. It was something that I did during high school days. I was involved in the drama club, so there you are.
Yeah, I interviewed Yannick Bisson 3 years ago,
There you go. That's great.
And he's a swell person. I do like him.
Yeah, very much.
Did you go into movies or just that one time acting?
Just that one time.
What are your goals for the future, my friend?
Well, I just continue to enjoy teaching at the University of Toronto, and we have one grandchild right now with us. One sadly passed away at just 6 days of age 2 years ago, and so that has been a tragedy in our life, but our son and daughter-in-law are expecting again, and we know that the baby is healthy, so and our other son and daughter-in-law are expecting a second time. So we have one in heaven, one with us, and 2 on the way, one next month in February and the next in March.
Welcome.
So it's going to be a busy spring for us.
Congratulations, my friend. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is Ruth Ann still singing?
Yeah, she is. Yeah, absolutely.
Did she go on tour?
So that continues, on, especially in the Christmas season. It's very busy then. Not so much right now, but still busy.
What can you tell my audience on how to succeed and stay with their dream to work on it? What encouragement can you give my audience?
God doesn't promise us an easy road. In fact, if anything, Christ promises us in Scripture that life will be hard and that there will be adversity.
Mm-hmm.
even before birth.
Yeah.
And it was not the Lord's choice that that would happen. But, you know, her brief life contributed a great deal to research related to the condition that ended up taking her life. And, you know, we have learned to truly lean on Him, rely on Him, that the Lord will see you through whatever adversity you face.
Faith will see us through.
Yeah.
Sir, it has been an honor to have you in my humble home. And half hour is almost over, my friend.
Well, thank you very, very much. And I really appreciate the opportunity and wish you the very best for 2017.
Thank you.
Godspeed, my love, until we meet again. You're always in my heart and every dream. Don't let this time apart give in to all our fears. God will keep us close from up above. So until we meet again, Godspeed, my love. God is with us always.